Hi guys, and welcome back to another video where today we're going to be predicting the scores of week 30 of the 2019-2020 Bundesliga season. Now before we get started, as always Nathan, let's have a look back at how well we got on last week in week 29.
So last week I had a pretty good week. I had 7 points with 7 correct results, no perfect scores, which means I only got 2 wrong last week.
Yeah, and I had exactly the same as you, Nathan, 7 points. 7 predictions out of 9. Of course, we've got one match which is being played tonight, Werder Bremen against Frankfurt, so we'll count that in next week. And representing the viewers last week was Alex Longhorn, and Alex came away with 6 points, so pretty decent scores all round. Unfortunately, we didn't get any perfect scores last week, but overall now though, Nathan, for the season, or since we've come back from lockdown in the Bundesliga, you're on at 23 points, I'm on 24 points, and the viewers, surprisingly, they're on 26 points, so we've got to catch up a little bit this week. Top scorer of the week in week 29 was David Redgriff, regular contributor to the show, and David came away with a magnificent score of 13 points, so congratulations David. At least last week was a lot better than week 28, which was a disaster for everybody. Before we get into the predictions, as we said last week, we've time-stamped each and every prediction. So once you've watched the video all the way through and you want to jump to anywhere in the video or any prediction, just have a look in the description and you could, you can jump to any of the predictions. But enough of that. Let's crack on and predict the scores for week 30.
Okay, so first up we have the Friday night fixture between Freiburg and Borussia Monchengladbach. Now Freiburg narrowly losing 1-0 to Leverkusen, although they did look fantastic that game, Leverkusen really. Gladbach dispatching Union Berlin 4-1, looked fantastic. I think From was on the score sheet as usual. Gladbach's massive striker up there. Hard to say which way this one could go. Freiburg sort of floating around the middle of the table, and Gladbach looking like they're going to push to stay in the Champions League places. I think they're going to do that. Gladbach look good, and I'm going to say 3-1.
Freiburg, since coming back from the enforced break, they've lost 2 and drawn 2, so they're in 8th position. They really could have pushed on into those Champions League positions, or at least the Europa, but it looks like they're not interested one bit. They're coming up against a Monchengladbach side currently in 4th position, so they're in the final Champions League position at the moment, having a great victory last week. I think it was a 4-1 victory over Union Berlin, but Berlin have Union have fallen off a cliff, so I can only see one winner in this match. I think it will be tight because Freiburg, they don't actually, since they've come back, they don't get turned over. They've just lost the 2 matches 1-0, and the others it's been a 3-3 draw and a 1-1 draw. So I think it will be tight, but I'm going to go for an away win 2-1 to Monchengladbach.
Interesting.
Next up, we've got the first of the Saturday fixtures, which takes place at 2:30 on Saturday afternoon between Dusseldorf and Hoffenheim. So Dusseldorf at the moment in that sort of playoff place for the relegation zone. Hoffenheim, since coming back, they suffered that very heavy defeat against Hertha Berlin, but since that result, they've really turned things round, beating Mainz 1-0 last week.
They haven't been good, have they?
Yeah, Mainz and Cologne as well. They turned over Cologne, so they have picked up results, and it was a draw against Paderborn. So even though they're getting results, the opposition hasn't been the sternest, you could say. So with Dusseldorf as well, just losing once in their last 6 fixtures, I think this is going to be another tight affair. Munich absolutely dispatched Dusseldorf last week. They're going to want to bounce back from that. I think they will, but I think it's going to end up all square, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this one. I can't split the 2 teams.
Yeah, I've gone exactly the same. You can't really call this one because, Dusseldorf do like to draw a lot, and they like their heavy defeats as well, sort of struggling at the bottom. And then, like I said, Hoffenheim can play well, but against the poorer teams. But then again, And yeah, anything could happen, so I'm going to say 1-1 as well.
Yeah, and incidentally, earlier in the season it finished 1-1, so...
Exactly, I'm going to stick with the same. Anyway, next up we got Eintracht Frankfurt, and they're playing against Mainz. Frankfurt floating around in 12th position, had that terrible run of form, and now are picking things up. They do seem to be playing well. They got a good win over Wolfsburg last week, so kudos to them really, and a good draw against Freiburg as well. And then Mainz losing to Hoffenheim, drawing with Union Berlin, and then getting smashed by Leipzig. So I'm going to say a solid 2-0 to Frankfurt.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same as you, Nathan, on this one. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home victory as well to Frankfurt. Mainz absolutely terrible at the moment, and if they don't buck up their ideas, they could be going down into Division 2. So I can't see them getting a victory in this one at all. Frankfurt look good in their last couple of games, the way they've been attacking, pushing forward, creating lots of chances. Yeah, I can only see one winner in this one. Frankfurt 2, Mainz 0, and of course Frankfurt playing this evening. Next up we've got Leverkusen against Bayern Munich. So this is probably the game of the weekend. Leverkusen at the moment find themselves in 5th position, so they're going to really want to be pushing on into those Champions League positions. They probably did want to come up against Bayern Munich at this stage, who are just a well-oiled machine. Munich last week, of course, beating Dusseldorf 5-0. Pavard was on the score sheet. Lewandowski getting a couple of goals there, and Alphonso Davies as well. Nice little goal. Leverkusen last weekend, of course, bouncing back after that humiliating defeat against Wolfsburg, we should say. Dispatching Freiburg 1-0, but Freiburg, as we said, they don't really look interested at the moment. So tough one. Well, not really a tough one to call this one. I think Bayern Munich just going to steamroll them, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Bayern in this one.
Well, I slightly disagree with you. I think there will be goals. I think Leverkusen will look at this one and think that this will be a good statement to the Gladbach, Leipzig and Dortmund, who they really want to push for the Champions League places and put one of them lot in the Europa League. So they're going to look at this one and see they want to win, but it's Bayern Munich. I can't see them being able to do that. I think players like Havertz will be able to score, and I think it'll just be 3-2 in the end of Bayern. Next up we have RB Leipzig versus Paderborn. Paderborn cemented to the bottom of the table. Never lost last week.
No, they got
destroyed by Dortmund. Leipzig like to dispatch teams, like to destroy teams as well, although they do draw a lot, but it's against Paderborn. Werner looks amazing. I think he's on 25 goals now, catching up Lewandowski, which no one thought could happen, and I'm just going to say 5-0.
Yeah, Paderborn, as we said, absolutely destroyed last weekend. Was it 5-1 in the end? Yeah, 6-1 rather, 6-1 against Dortmund. Totally overrun, totally outplayed, outclassed it every single department last week. Leipzig last week found it a little bit tricky against Cologne, but ultimately they ran out 4-2 winners in the end. So it's going to be another whitewash in this one, and I can see Timo Werner getting amongst the goals again. Shouldn't have any or too much trouble against this Paderborn side, who they only beat 3-2 earlier in the season. So I'm going to go for a 4-1 victory to the home team in this one. Next up we've got Dortmund against Hertha Berlin. Now Dortmund, second position at the moment, 7 points. 7 points behind Munich. Could they slip out of those Champions League positions? Possibly.
They could
if they slip up like I think they did last year when they were doing so well in the Bundesliga until about January, February. But so they can't really rest on their laurels at the moment. Hertha Berlin, fantastic form at the moment, having won three of the last 6 games and 3 of the last 4 since the enforced break as well, beating Augsburg 2-0 last week. Okay, it was a good draw as well against Leipzig prior to that, and they won that the Berlin derby, of course. But in this one, I'm going to edge with Dortmund on this one. I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to the Yellows at home.
Interesting. I've gone exactly the same as you as well, but I think Dortmund will be able to keep a clean sheet. Looking at their defence, I just don't think Hertha Berlin will be able to get through. Piatek is going to have quite a game, unfortunately, but I think Dortmund have definitely got this, especially I mean, they probably won't catch Bayern, but just in case Bayern slip up, then they'll have just enough points to catch them up. So 3-0 to Dortmund. Next up, we've got Werder Bremen versus Wolfsburg. Wolfsburg, bit of inconsistent form. I think they lost losing last week 2-1 to Eintracht Frankfurt. And then Werder Bremen, they beat Schalke last week, but everyone beats them at the moment, so, well, that's just a standard well done, really. But anyway, I can see this one being sort of close. Last game around, Werder Bremen won 3-2, but I think it's going to go the other way this time, and I think Wolfsburg in the end are going to win 2-1.
Yeah, Werder Bremen playing, as we say, this evening, so that's sort of 3 games they're going to be playing in a week, so whether fatigue will come into play at all, maybe some tired legs. Wolfsburg, as we said, inconsistent form, really need another victory. They've lost 2 of their last 4, won 2 of those last 4 as well. It will be tight. Werder Bremen in the last 3 fixtures, I think they've won 1-0 twice, drawn 0-0, and prior to that, it was a heavy defeat against Leverkusen. So yeah, there's not going to be many goals in this one. I'm going to go for an away victory just to Wolfsburg, who really want to cement themselves in that Europa League spot. So yeah, I'm going to go for an away victory in that one. Next up, we got Union Berlin against Schalke. This takes place on Sunday. Union Berlin find themselves in 14th position at the moment, so really a couple of wins and they'll remain safe. However, they've lost 4 of their last 5 fixtures. Last weekend, of course, they lost 4-1 against Monchengladbach, and also having a bad run of form is Schalke, losing their last 4 matches. So where do we go in this one? Previously in the season, Schalke won this fixture at their ground. It's not going to be the best game. This is one to turn over, really. If you find this on your TV sets, maybe turn over unless you're a fan of Union Berlin or Schalke. So I'm going to go all square in this one. I can't decide. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, Union Berlin they have played well in some matches, but it's really just the teams they come up against, and they haven't been able to get results, whereas Schalke have just been poor.
Terrible. Yeah.
I mean, it's not even good on the eye, so... I
would have gone for a victory to Union in this one if the fans would have been behind them, because in their small stadium there, they are a force to be reckoned with, but no fans, so...
But even then, I probably would have said a 4-0, but I'm going to half that. I'm going to say 2-0 in this one to Union Berlin. And finally, we have Augsburg versus Cologne. Now, last time round, drew 1-1. Augsburg lost 2-0 to Hertha Berlin, but Hertha Berlin are looking good at the moment, even though they have been in patchy form recently, Augsburg as well. And then Cologne lost to Leipzig 4-2 with Werner and all those getting on the score sheet. Yeah, but they were a little bit unlucky. First half they gave Leipzig a bit of a run for their money, but then they just turned the screw, old Leipzig then. Yeah, and then Cologne just collapsed really. But what you put in this one, I mean, both in the same patterns of form really. Cologne can't seem to win. Augsburg inconsistent, but I don't know, I just have a slight feeling that Augsburg will steal it in the last minute, so I'm going to say 1-0 Augsburg. Another tricky one to predict this one. Cologne, they did well, I thought, for the first hour, you could say, against Leipzig. Augsburg find themselves precariously on 31 points in 29th position, so they really need the points, but their form at the moment isn't too clever, so I'm going to go for an away win there for this one. I think what I saw of Cologne, okay, they are leaking goals, but I think they may have enough to beat Augsburg in this one. They're safe, really, you could say. They should be in the division next season. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory. So that concludes our predictions for week 30, this the 2019-2020 Bundesliga season. As usual, I'm going to leave a template of these fixtures in the description, and if, like David Redriff, you'd like to get a shout out in the next video, then make sure you leave your predictions below. As usual, on Friday morning, I'm going to pick somebody at random to represent you guys, the viewers, and you two will be featured in the next video. Now, Nathan, before we go, is there anything you'd like to add? Search my channel in the description below, and in the comments section we had a person comment.
David?
David, I believe his name was. And he gave us the suggestion that we should really do like a question each week from the fans. So the question I think that we should have this week is which Bundesliga players would you like to see play in the Premier League?
Interesting. Well, personally, I've been thinking of a few. I think Play and Furman last week for Gladbach, absolutely amazing. They destroyed Union Berlin. The interplay between the two of them. So if they came as a pair, that would be really interesting to see in the Premier League. Like Timo Werner is looking really sharp at the moment. He'd be great. I love Kimmich for Bayern. He'd fit it well into the Premier League. Alphonso Davies is a great up and coming young player as well. I think Von Weghorst, who plays for Wolfsburg, he'd be ideally suited to the Premier League, the style of his play. But if I was picking two now, I'd go for Kimmich and Werner.
Yeah, saying that, I'm going to go a bit different. I'm going to say Alphonso Davies. The reason for that is I just love to see him play behind Dan James in left back. That would be some
It'd be like lightning going up and down the wing.
That'd be ridiculous, but I'm not going to say it's going to happen because there's no way Man United would be able to sign him at all. And then apart from that, you said Werner, Lewandowski would be ridiculous. Imagine if he went to Blackburn. I'd sort of like to see a player like Thomas Müller and see how well he would sort of do in the Premier League. Sort of a rudimentary.
I think he's the top assister in the league this season, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the top assister in the league. I think he's had 18 assists. 18
assists. Then Jadon Sancho with 16. We never know we could see Sancho back in the Premier League.
Well, I think he's going to probably stay at Dortmund, but Müller playing that rudimentary role, sort of just floating around the attacking area of the Bayern team. So I think he'd be a very interesting player in the Prem. I'm not sure what sort of team he fit into. Maybe an Arsenal, maybe a Spurs. Sort of one of those.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, anyway, guys, David, thank you very much for that question. If you leave along with your predictions who you think could fit in well into the Premier League, then just let us know.
And as well as that, put a question in your comments as well, saying what question you want us to answer next week, and it can be about anything you want as well.
Superb. Thanks for watching as always, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.